everyone. My name is Grace Ramirez, and I'm absolutely sure none of you have any idea of who I am, except like my family over here. But I'm a chef, and that's the end of my presentation, so maybe I need to go to the beginning of my presentation. But well, to start off, I was invited to this, and I'm like, I'm used to talking on TV, and I'm used to doing this cooking demos and all these things. And then when I realized I need to talk about myself, I was fairly intimidated. I don't like to talk about me, and my journey and myself. It makes me very uncomfortable. I can talk about food for hours, and I could talk about other chefs for hours, but to actually talk about myself was really challenging. And I kind of panicked a little bit, and I was like, I have nothing interesting to say, blah, 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 but then I said, yes, I do. It's been a very interesting journey. Sorry, I don't have my shoes, but Gluggers, I think they don't cook, because if I have my shoes on, then I won't be able to chop anything. So I had to take my shoes off. I hope you don't mind. And I feel like a Kiwi. I lived in New Zealand for a lot of years, and that's where we feel more comfortable. I'm partial Kiwi now. So I feel really comfortable right now, weirdly enough. And then, thank you. And then I remember that it was talks like this one and mentoring words that when I was feeling like, what the fuck am I doing, really reminded me of to keep going, and that it was all going to be okay. So when I thought about that I was like, okay, it was talks like this and mentoring words that really kept me going. I was like, if I could help anyone to even sparkle even a little bit of something, then I would do it, because it has been a very interesting journey. And what I'm gonna make for you right now, it's ceviche. Because ceviche was that one dish I thought I couldn't cook. I thought that cooking, you needed some special superpowers to actually cook something. Because I come from a big family. They're always cooking amazing dishes, and I just didn't have it in me. But it was not until my stepfather, who I'll go back to the story, taught me how to make ceviche, that I felt really empowered and that I could do this. And I was like, okay, if I master that one dish, I could keep going, and I could keep doing it, and I could keep cooking. And I realized that my heart was in so much joy, and that I needed to be so present when I was cooking, because otherwise, I'll show you the slides. I have cut myself a lot. I have burned myself a lot. I needed to be really present and really in the moment to enjoy it and to make my heart sing. So I'll make it really quickly, so then we can get onto the fun stuff. But ceviche is one of those dishes that, and you know what? Like, if you don't understand anything I'm saying and you find it bullshit, it doesn't matter, because you'll learn how to make ceviche, and that's all that matters. Because a lot of people are intimidated by it. So what you need is, and someone's gonna have to hold my mic. There you go. Yeah, you just, or maybe hold it for a second. Okay. So what you need, I can talk really loud though, but what you need is really fresh fish to make ceviche. Don't cheat around that. And this is snapper. It's a white semi-firm fish, and this is very crucial. You can't make ceviche from frozen fish, because it's not good. Another next level. And I think ceviche is absolutely the same. So you need a good fish. People will ask, where do I get my fish? If you go to Chinatown, you need to make sure you see that fish before they fillet it. And you need to be a Nazi about it. You want that fish, and you need to fillet it right now. It needs to be, the eyes need to be glowing, and the skin needs to be shiny, and you need to smell it and make sure it smells really good. Then you're good to go. I go to Harlem or I go to Italy. They all have, Italy is very expensive. Italy, not like actually gonna go to Italy. Italy is very expensive, but they care a lot about the process. That's where I actually did my internship, and I'm not just saying this just to promote them, but they do care about everything they do. So you need white semi-firm, and just so you don't get grossed out, I am gonna hand sanitize my hands because I forgot my gloves. Which, yeah, I get now really grossed out about these kind of things. Okay, so fish, right? So you're gonna actually make some cubes, and this is a trick that I'm gonna show you. So you're gonna get your favorite chile. Mine is, it's a serrano or it's a jalapeno, and you're gonna rub it. You're gonna rub it inside that bowl. Even if you don't like heat, this will go a long way. So, and I'll also place 2 ice cubes in there. Why? Because the temperature of the fish is crucial. You know when you eat sushi and it's too warm and you're grossed out about it? Yeah. And you know when it's too cold and you're really grossed out about it? Yes. Ceviche is the same. The temperature needs to be spot on. Do not put more than 2 ice cubes because it will be too cold and too watery. So 2 ice cubes, I find that it's the best. So you're gonna chop your fish, which I'm actually, I can't do the whole thing, even though everyone said they wanted some. So I was like, I can't make ceviche in 2 minutes for so many people. But make sure you have a really sharp knife because as you can see, you know, the flesh of the snapper, it's very delicate. So you need to be quick. Otherwise you'll ruin the flesh and you would be like, so you see how it should go right through it. It doesn't matter that it's sort of falling apart, it's fine. Because you want all the citrus to get right in there. You want that salt to get right in there. So we're gonna be quick. And then I already have here some red onions finely chopped. And okay, let me just be really clear about this. Ceviche, different parts of the world make it very different. I'm making a Peruvian ceviche because my stepfather is from Peru, and I really think ceviche came from Peru. But Mexicans think they came from Mexico, and Ecuadorians think it came from Ecuador, and it doesn't matter. But I think the more Nazis about ceviches are the Peruvians. And they make thousands of different kinds of ceviche, but this is the most simple one, the traditional one, and the one that I always go to. Because it not only reminds me of that it's the first dish I learned to cook, but it's just so simple and so good. And the balance of flavors, it's spectacular. You have the citrus, you have the delicate of the fish, you have the salt, and then you have a little bit of sweetness of the pepper, because I like to add, this is just regular red pepper, and I like to add just a little bit for color. You do not need to. Salt is very, very important. Do not add that crappy table salt. Don't. Oh, there's my friend Mary. You can come here. We saved you a spot.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, Mary. She's late because she was in ESPN somewhere, but you can sit down. Okay.
We're not saving that scene.
There you go. Okay, so this is Malden sea salt. It's flaky, it's delicious, it's delicate, and that's what you need. Invest. Invest in 3 things. Invest in good fish, invest in limes, invest in salt. So we're gonna add some salt. And right when you think it's enough, add a pinch more. Because ceviche is so simple that sometimes people will tell me, but I did everything and it just still doesn't taste like anything. I said, how much salt do you add? Like a pinch. No. You need to add some salt. You need to, because that's going to bring all the flavors out. And salt is just one of those things that you add that extra pinch and it will make the whole dish sing. Otherwise, it's kind of like, who wants an egg without salt? No one. Believe me, I have a lot of eggs without salt when I'm in a hurry, and I'm like, why the fuck am I eating this right now? So you want to make sure you add some salt. So, okay, so then after you do this, you know, we'll keep doing the same thing to the fish. Your knives, invest in a good knife. It needs to be sharp. Or if it's not a good knife, just make sure it's sharp. I'm butchering this fillet, which I am so sorry, little fish, that I'm going so fast. But they gave me 15 minutes and they told me very clearly, do not go over. So I am gonna be fast because I'm sure that I'll go over. Okay, so regarding, let's just put this over here. It's all gonna go in the same place so we don't mind about cross-contamination. This is another great trick. When you're gonna squeeze your lime, do not over squeeze the lime. That's where you get that after soury taste that you're like, oh, what happened here? It's if you over squeeze the lime. So just make sure, and do not worry, because I'm a freak about waste. You're like, oh, you're gonna waste that lime. No, freeze the lime shells, freeze them all, and then you take them out and use them like ice cubes, and it'll be a lovely lime water. You add some mint, and it's delicious. because when you freeze it, it would actually take that extra taste that we don't like. So make sure you use it, freeze it, and use it like ice cubes. And then everyone's happy. We're not wasting anything. I'll tell you all about why I don't like waste. But, so you just make sure you squeeze it, but you know how people go, No, don't do that. Don't do that, because you will ruin your dish. So you want to make sure you don't do that. Another little trick that I couldn't do here because we don't have a microwave is you can put, like for 10 seconds, your limes in the microwave and they'll get super soft and then you can squeeze them. Isn't that amazing? And then more juice will come out. So you just do that. And this is another great analogy of life because people, when I explain to them on the phone how to make ceviche, they're like, so you squeeze the lime and that's it? Like, I don't actually need to like leave it overnight. I don't need to. I'm like, no, you have to trust that the lime will cook. And just like in life, you have to sometimes trust that everything will turn out fine, which is for a control freak like me, very, very hard. Yeah, so it's very, very hard. Ceviche is the same, honey. You'll be like, are you sure that fucking fish is gonna cook by the time we're gonna eat it? It will. It will cook. It will start turning, and I think we're actually gonna come back to it. So you would leave it, and the lime, and some people ask me, how long? That's very important. Well, it depends how you like your fish. Let's say, like steak. Do you like it medium rare? Do you like it raw? Do you like it blue? Do you like it well done? If you like it well done, you're gonna let that fish sit for like half an hour. If you like it ultra well done, that thing is like bouncing off, it's so rubbery, leave it overnight. It's fine, but I don't like it. But you have to think of ceviche like sushi. You do eat sashimi raw. You can eat this. This is good because you went and got your fish. I know it takes forever, but you don't want to do it. If you're gonna do it from frozen fish, don't even bother. Don't even bother. It's gonna be horrible. That is the one love ceviche. Which one is the best fish? Well, I use snapper, but that's a bit controversial because there is a bit of the conversation about is snapper getting overly fished? Yes, it is. But, I went to Chinatown and the only thing that looked amazing was a snapper. So I got the snapper and I went like, okay, sorry, snapper. I'm not going to do it again. I will find something else. But then again, that's a different conversation that we can talk to about forever. But any white, semi-firm fish works. If you're going to do it with salmon, it's going to be too oily. So it's a different sort of experience with ceviche. But ceviche can be done with any type of fish. Maybe I'm already done with 15 minutes, right? So I'll just be like really quickly here. Because, this is where I'm comfortable, just talking about food. And when I'm talking about myself, I'm not so comfortable, but it's okay. Okay, and then when we're done, I'll go through my presentation. We're going to add some cilantro. So you will see that the fish will start getting white. Let's add a little bit more of the red onions. Now let's add a pinch more salt. And just leave it there, just like magic. And then I'll go through my presentation and I'll come back. So, okay. So that's my ceviche, but we'll come back through it and I can ask anyone who wants to try it, but wait, we're gonna plate it. We're gonna plate it afterwards. But then, now, I'm gonna talk about myself. What? Oh, Mike. Okay. This is hard, okay.
Sorry, that's it. That's all we got time for. 3 minutes.
It's 5, okay, great. Ciao!
Thank you. Look at that. I mean, amazing. So I just want to say, just before you leap into that, that's going to cook. We're kind of feeding with the fire here, Grace. So if you'll say Grace, we might even all get to try some. So
just maybe like one little bite.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
It smells delicious. Thank you.
But I need to try it before you all try it because that is the one thing about being a chef. You need to try your food before you serve it. A friend of mine said you should have a show and it should be Just Say Grace. And I still don't have that show. It's called many other things, but I still love the name, Just Say Grace, because I think in life you have to be grateful in each moment. You have to look at the glass half full instead of half empty. And I know that's a bit of a cliche, but we have a choice in each moment, like our guru says, that in each moment you need to be focusing on what's good in your life instead of what's bad. Because I think we've all had a lot of moments where we're like, this is shit, this is crap, what am I doing? But if we focus on what is good, that helps us get out of that hole. And that's kind of a little bit of my whole philosophy. And so Okay, let me see if I can do this. Okay, so that's me, Chef Grace Ramirez. This is my cookbook. So I want to show it to you. It's for real, like it actually happened. It's here. It's 300 pages, which I never, that was always my dream, and it was so hard to get to that place. It's a hard cover. Nowadays, they want to give you a soft cover. So it took me, and it took a lot of pushing and negotiating to get to that point and not settling. And I think that a lot of times we want to settle because we just want to be like, do I deserve it? I don't know. I can't keep fighting. I can't keep doing this. And I kept pushing Random House. It's published by Random House. It's published right now in New Zealand, Australia, and the UK. And hopefully we'll get it here somehow, somewhere, sometime. That's even a struggle, the distribution deal. But at least we finally have the book. And it's called La Latina because it's a celebration of Latin America. Because growing up, American girl an American girl in the States nowadays from a Latin heritage, you are a Latina. You are, and I think I'm a representation of all cultures. You know, my family's from Venezuela, my stepfather's from Peru. I've lived in a lot of countries in Latin America. I spent a lot of time in Mexico. And also, you know, when you're in the kitchen, you're a Latino. We all speak the same language. We speak Spanish, and we become like a family. And food breaks that boundary. And it's beautiful because even though we fight a little bit of who makes the best ceviche and who makes the best empanadas and arepas versus tacos, at the end of the day, my Latinos were my family and were my team who got me through the hell of culinary school and working a year in a kitchen, which was hell. So this is me now. Yeah, a lot of little different things. The cookbook got named the #1 cookbook of 2015 because it came out late 2015. I got this cover, which was awesome. You know, lots of little things like this, which is really fun. Cooking with Grace, which thought was amazing. And I write for the Sunday travel magazine in New Zealand. This is me in Peru. And so, yeah, Cuisine magazine. I write for most of the major publications in New Zealand and some in Australia at the moment. And this was my first spread, actually, which I'm very proud of. But it wasn't always like this. No. This is me. I don't know how old I was, but I was a very bratty little girl that thought I wasn't good enough or thought I wasn't good at anything. My mother married 4 times. My father died. It was very complicated. But I just was very bratty, and I felt like, okay, I'm not good at sports. I'm not good at playing cuatro. I'm not good at ballet. I'm dyslexic. I have all these learning disabilities. And so I really thought I was kind of cursed. But I come from this beautiful, happy, gigantic family. I don't have any brothers or sisters, but I have tons of cousins. And this is just half of the picture because the other half didn't fit. But we're about 80. Every Sunday, it's about 80 of us in Venezuela. And it's always, I don't even know how they do it, honestly. Like, now that I cook, I just see all that food for 80 people every Sunday, or it's just crazy to me. I'm like, don't do that anymore. Go rest. That's me. That's my grandmother who we're gonna. No. I'm going back. No. Okay, that's my grandmother who raised me. And she's the inspiration for the book, and you will see her in the book. It's dedicated to her. And I grew up literally in the kitchen, and I learned to walk pulling myself up my grandmother's apron. And but she would be like, "Get the fuck out of the kitchen! You're not cooking. It's not my queen in the kitchen." So I really didn't know how to cook because she's the queen. And look at her. Yeah, you're pretty intimidated by that. But I did have something from my mother, which raised me between 4 marriages and working really hard. Work. That's what she'd say. Just work your ass off. Study and work your ass off. And I did. And I started working at Guess, folding clothes in Dadeland Mall in Miami. And then somehow, because my family has always been in the entertainment industry somehow, and that's what I really secretly wanted to do. I wanted to act, and I wanted to be in front of the camera. But because I wasn't Miss Venezuela, like this tall and this thin, I thought I couldn't do that. I just thought I was beautiful enough that I could be in front of the camera. And in Venezuela, if you're not Miss Venezuela, you are doomed for life. For life. You might as well just die. So I thought, okay, I'm not going to be a talent, but I will be the best director, producer I can be. And I knew I wanted to do that. So my mom's friend, it's a long story, she got me in as FPA in Nickelodeon, and then MTV was really cool at the time. I know I look very young, but I'm not. But MTV was really cool at the time, and all I wanted was to make it over to MTV and be a producer over there. I have my ex-boss here, by the way. It's her. And my colleagues, Safiya, and my ex-colleague from MTV. So I did that for 10 years. And then I want to say this because I think that, like I said at the beginning, I've had these mentors or phrases throughout my life that have helped me go to the next phase. And one of them was Jennifer Lopez, believe it or not. Ironic. And you will find it very ironic because it came full circle. I was interviewing her at MTV, and of course, I love Jennifer Lopez. Latina, I mean, I get chills just thinking about her. You're like, oh my God, a Latina who's from the Bronx has worked her ass off, and she's a badass. Sign me up to interview her. And we were, I don't know, I was interviewing her, and I was so mesmerized by her and so inspired that she literally stopped the interview and mentored me for 5 minutes. Those 5 minutes felt like 3 hours, but she said two things to me. She goes, first of all, when I got signed to an agent, people would just want to take me to the Latina roles. And I said, no, take me to everything. I am the new American girl. And I should cast for any role. Because I don't consider myself just a Latina girl. And that stuck with me because in a time when we felt very, stereotype, blah, blah, she was like, no, the stereotype is in your mind. And you need to push through that. And if you keep working hard enough, something will happen. And at that time, I was like, okay, I love food. I learned how to master this one dish. At that time, I could cook 3 different things after many hours of practice. And when I was at MTV, my kitchen was like a foreign land that I needed a visa to get into. The only thing that was in my fridge was a Haagen-Dazs ice cream because, when I would get like depressed that we were working about 18 hours a day, every day, I would eat a lot of ice cream and water. But then I was like, wait a minute, if I cook something, my friends come. Okay, you're right. So I'll keep cooking. So I really felt like my heart was singing and full of joy when I was in the kitchen, and it became my place. It became the place where I ruled, and when no one could tell me what to do, because I was the only one that knew what to do, because none of my friends knew how to cook. So I started doing that, and then the Food Network got very popular. And I was like, wait a minute, I could do my 2 loves at the same time. I could direct and work for the Food Network. What? Sign me up. I quit MTV. And I quit MTV without having a job at the Food Network. And again, those are the moments in your life where you're like, what are you doing? Like, you don't have a job at the Food Network. You don't have a lead at the Food Network. You don't know anyone at the Food Network. And you're a supervising producer at MTV New York. And I said, yeah, but I need to do this. So I quit. And after about 6 months, I was like, I ran out of my savings. I was in a lot of debt, and I was like, what have I done? I left my, 6-figure blah, blah, blah job to go work for this network that no one even wants to interview me. So I started asking around everyone who knew someone who worked at the Food Network. Until one day I was at this party and someone said, I know someone. I was like, you gotta be shitting me. Like, can I give you my resume right now? And I almost had it in my purse. And I followed up, and it was true. After 6 months of waiting, he put me in touch with Bobby Flay's production company, and I got to direct Bobby Flay Throwdown, which was amazing, because we felt like Santa Claus. We would literally bring joy to all these people, which we would highlight, and we would, once their business was mapped, they would always go from 1 to 10 places, or from 1 to 2, and we just grew their business. So again, I feel like, in the sense of what is important for success, a mentor or the right people that are lifting you up at the right time is very important. If you're surrounded by people that are full of fear and jealousy and want to bring you down, that's not good. Believe me, we've all been there, and I'm being pretty brutal about that lately. Bobby was amazing. He didn't say much, but he would say just enough for me to feel that he believed in me and that I should do my thing. And he said to me one day, you are the new American girl. Go get your shit together and do your thing. And that was Bobby Flay. And then I had a what the fuck moment. After working for 3 years for Bobby, I went and I signed up for this show called Masterchef. Yeah, it wasn't so great. I signed up for the first season of Masterchef. We had no idea we were getting ourselves into, just like right now. You know, I'm the first one, so I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but I'm doing it. And he voted me out. He said, go to culinary school and come back. And I was like, what? What do you mean? I left my job with Bobby. I quit Bobby Flay. I quit my, again, another amazing job to do this because I really thought I was going to win, and he voted me out. So I cried a lot, like the show, but even times 20. And I said, well, I don't know. And he said, go to culinary school. So I said, well, I really want to do culinary school. I just don't have the balls, and I don't have the money. It's about $50,000 to do culinary school at the French Culinary Institute. So I was reading a Momofuku cookbook, and he said, I did culinary school there they have 2 programs, the 6-month program and the 9-month program. And I said, 9 months is like having a baby. I could do this. I got this. I can do it. So I applied for a scholarship, and it's a very long story. It didn't go so smoothly, but I applied for a scholarship and I got it. And this is me in culinary school, looking like an alien every day and being exhausted and, like a gremlin. And I got all these burns from this, my face burned. That was chicken, and that was, I don't know, something else, and I have all these scars from culinary school, but I did it. Woo! Yay! I'm pretty proud of this one, I gotta say. Every day I would cry. I got my knife stolen twice, which is like $800 worth of knives in the subway. And once we went to one police plaza because we needed to get some fingerprints to move to New Zealand, and I went in with my knives. And they're like, what the fuck are you doing with a bag full of knives in one police plaza? Well, I'm a chef. They're like, you're an idiot. So I left it with a hot dog vendor, and I kept going. And then after I finished culinary school, my grandmother said to me, you're right. I'm finally passing on to you my kitchen superpowers. So it just came full circle, and I felt I was ready. That's her. That's the moment, but that's pretty much what, look at her face. She's like, you're ready. Go. So and then at 30, it changed, but I really went to a psychic, and we Latinos, we believe firmly in psychics. We think it's the truth. Like, that's actually going to happen. And she said, your life is going to change. So, of course it changed. I got married to this gentleman over here, which I never thought I was going to get married. When I was a little girl, I was like, marriage? My mom married 4 times. I don't want to get married, but I did, and it was lovely because I walked towards my fears. Greatest fear number 1. And I moved from New York to New Zealand. Yes, and the only thing that is alike, it's the new in those 2 places. And there, I was like, okay, what am I going to do here? And I just felt so inspired by their food philosophy and how they see food and culture around food and everything. And I think they're looking at the watch, and I'll be really quickly. But basically what happened was I completely changed my relationship with food. I volunteered at this garden to table program where we taught kids how to grow and harvest, prepare, and share their own food. Even the program is so popular that even the royals went there to check it out because it's been so successful. And that's what's driven me to keep going, this garden to table mission. And now in the States, it's becoming more and more popular, but it wasn't so 6 years ago. It wasn't that much popular. So I think that's one of my missions to education. I think we're going to change everything. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. So yes, yes, yes. You have to say yes to all. When you're trying to make a shift and when you're trying to change, I think that the most important thing is to say yes to change and to keep going. And you know what? Embrace it all, because you don't know where life is going to take you, because it's definitely not like linear. It's going to be like this or like that or like this or like sometimes like this. But you just have to keep going. And so I became pretty obsessed of knowing, because I was a hypocrite. I just didn't like raw things. I was like, give me some chicken and da-da-da. And I just felt like, in New Zealand, everyone is about hunting and fishing and gardening and getting your hands dirty and really knowing where your food comes from and how the whole process. So I was like, okay, rolling up my sleeves, walking towards my fears, I'll do this. So if I was fishing it, I was filleting it. If I was cooking it, I was butchering it. If I was hunting, I was doing it all. That took 18 hours to catch that deer, and I went with the boys, they're professionals, and talk about disruption. And I actually pitched a show about this and to a producer in the States, and they said, are you kidding me? No one's going to want to see this. We live in America in a bubble where we do not want to know where our food comes from. And I'm still fighting for that. So, that's where your food comes from. And it's pretty spectacular to actually see it. I don't take anything for granted. I don't waste anything. And I practice mindfulness eating because I appreciate so much where that protein has come from, where that vegetable has come from, where that lime has come from, because it's a pretty amazing process to see the whole thing. And yes, New Zealand has more lamb than people, so I did it all. Yep, I did that and that and that. And this picture was just me reminding myself that I did that. I did pretty much that. And then now, this was full circle. Gordon Ramsay actually came to New Zealand to a little cookbook shop where I was teaching cooking classes, and I got to cook for him. And he remembered that he voted me off, and he said, well done. And funny enough, now I'm signed to CAA, which is his agency. So crazy. Yeah, I still can't believe it. I still cannot believe it. I'm like, okay, you represent him. Okay, me. Okay, I'll take that. And in New Zealand, because I was teaching cooking classes on this little hole in the wall, someone saw me and they casted me to do My Kitchen Rules New Zealand, which is like the new franchise after Masterchef. So I went from a Masterchef reject to a My Kitchen Rules judge. And you have to see this really quickly.
I'll make it on my own.
Grace Ramirez.
Grace Ramirez is a former Masterchef USA contestant turned international chef.
She's like the J-Lo of cooking, eh?
She's hotter than J-Lo.
What I'm looking for is ambition and determination. We should do a happy dance. It's so good. It looks like a Latin party. Pretty but messy. And it's gonna get messier. Ever since I got here, I've been trying to find that one dish that represents New Zealand. And for me, this is it. This should be New Zealand's national dish.
Wow.
Your whole menu was like a seductive relationship. It had me feeling up, down, intrigued, moved. And by the end of it, I was overwhelmed with joy and craving for more. Thank you.
Thanks, Grace.
And I score you a 9.
Please give it up for our My Kitchen Rules champion.
So I still can't believe that I get to vote people off the show. I got voted off the show in the second round. I mean, out of 60,000 people, but that was crazy. And then, again, it was just about I started teaching cooking classes in New Zealand. That gave me a purpose. And sometimes, I would say I'm making literally less money than the person who helps me housekeep my home. But it just was like, I know something will come out of this. I know something will come out of this because I really loved teaching people and I was doing what I loved. And it did. And this picture is from my husband because he said he needed to be in the presentation. But no, it was funny because I was getting a little bit overexposed and balancing everything is a bit hard sometimes. And he said, what about me? What about me? I came to New Zealand to run a multinational agency, and what about me? And I was like, okay, fine, I'll call Us Weekly, which is like the Us Weekly of there, and I'll have you. And I was like, no, I don't want to do Us Weekly. And I was like, well, then what do you want to do? He's like, so he came out and he was like, I want to make sure I'm not left behind. And he came out like that. So I'm all this personality, but at home, he's my Antonio Banderas right here. And now I have a Food Network show, full circle again, for Latin America. Hopefully we'll get one into the States pretty soon, but it's airing in the winter. And how did I go from this little girl to this? Do I have one more minute to read something?
I hope so.
Okay,
Yeah, let's
well,
do it.
I'll just read this that I wrote from the bottom of my heart. And I do want to read it because I wanted to make sure to summarize it all. I went from a little bratty girl to La Latina, a woman who is constantly walking towards her fears, who falls and falls but tries to get right back up, who likes to work hard but always makes time to do the right thing, and it's constantly trying to make a difference, who loves challenges, and just like the salmon who is thrilled to swim against the current, it's also like the eagle. She trusts in nature's perfection, flows and flows, and doesn't fly against the wind, follows her instincts. This is gonna make me cry. But above it all, tries to embrace it all, loves herself and her human experience, and is grateful. Reminds herself constantly that it's not about the journey, but the destination, and what you're choosing and being in each moment that really matters. Choose to follow your dreams. Choose to be happy. Choose to love. Thank you.